Hello YouTubers! It's time for another record collection update. This is a video where I show some of the records that I've been listening to during the last month. Yeah, that's about it. First of all, I'm very fond of these compilation albums that are issued by Ace, and they have often been focused on pop music, 60s pop music from different countries. We got Spanish, Italian, Swedish even, and Hungarian, but also different British compilations with, well, mostly girl singers or girl artists and girl groups. And they issued now a compilation called Would She Do That For You? Looks like this. And it's on Ace, Girl Group Sounds USA 1964 to 68. The most famous of the bands that are, or groups that are presented on this compilation is, well, the Ikettes, of course known from Ike Turner, and, well, Tina Turner as well. But also we have other groups like the Puffs, we have the Charmaines, the Bermudas, Two of Clubs. Lots of quite weird tracks from old 45s on the Flip label, on small labels like Flip, Big Ben, Era, Downey and so on. Always good selection on these, and this time they put extra effort in making them sound extra great too, so which they usually do. But there's one of these compilations that I felt a bit that I don't really remember what my complaint was. It was something with the bass sound being a bit too boomy or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, great compilation. Love these. Oh yes, going to show you a fairly new album, Llamas On The Freak, Amazon Power, that was issued some weeks ago. It's their second album, and those of you who are not familiar with Llamas On The Freak, they are like a collective of African female artists and singers and musicians, and it's a bit of a both musical meeting and a political statement, as well as a feminist statement, in the sense that they want to be strong women and want to show the world what they can do. But also they said it's not like a man-hate project. It's a project where it's more like a homage to the man, to the good man who treat women great and who have high hopes, high thoughts of them. And when I bought this, I had heard a bit of them, and I thought, well, why not? Then shortly after that, I got hold of their first album from 2017, Republique Amazon, which is just as good. The only of the artists that I were familiar with before was Angelique Kidjo, but I've learned many new interesting names. One of my favorites of the members of this collective is a singer called Neka, or Nineka, I'm not sure how to say it, and also a singer called Rokia Kone. Again, I'm not at all sure about the pronunciation, but what we have here, well, it's a mix of traditional African sounds and also very modern, very electric sound. It's dance music, and it can also be a bit ambient, and all in all just very pleasant, very interesting to listen to. I have to say one important person on this album is, where's his name? Yeah, Liam Farrell, also known as Dr. L, who has helped with lots of the music, actual music backgrounds. So, girls, I like this. I love it. Right. Over to an old CD favorite from almost said the late 90s, but I think this was issued in 2000. No, it was issued in 1998. And I bought it on CD back then. And it's Cardigans. Gran Turismo. The Cardigans have been reissuing their old CD albums on vinyl last year. And I thought I'd buy them one by one. I started with the first Band of the Moon, which was a great favorite of mine back in the 90s. And I kind of like the follow up to that as well, Gran Turismo, with the great songs like Race, Rewind, My Favorite Game, and so on. And so, Swedish pop music as at its best. Let's move on. Yeah, I went to. These have mostly been new albums. Yeah, I think so. All the albums I've been showing have been new albums. Then I went to a record store in Stockholm that I haven't been to for several years, and it's like a big basement just full of records. And I made some great findings there. First of all, we have Sivuca and Guitars Unlimited. Let's Vamos from 1987 on the Sonnet label. And Sivuca, great multi-instrumentalist from Brazil, singing, playing the guitar, playing the accordion, and he's joined by the great two Brazilian musicians, the drummer Fernando Pereira and the bass player Luizão, who I think you have heard on loads of samba records from the time, because he has a very distinctive sound that you can almost recognize immediately. But they are joined here by the Swedish guitar duo, Guitars Unlimited. That's Ulf Akenius and Peter Almqvist. So it's a great mix between Brazilian and Swedish music. I'm quite sure the producer must have been Rune Överman. Yeah, because Rune Överman did lots of cooperation with Brazilian musicians the years 86 to 87. He produced albums with Sylvia Vrethammar, with Toots Tillemans and Sivuca, with Rune Överman Trio that have guest appearances by Sivuca, by solo album by Sivuca, and now this where Sivuca played with Guitars Unlimited. And they made it in quite a short time, I think in 1986, 87, and loads of albums were just pouring out, produced by Rune Överman at Sonnet. Right. Over to a maxi single or maxi EP probably. Somebody's Fool and Sailing, You Got Me Anyway, by the Sutherland Brothers. It's a demonstration only, not for sale. It has that stamp here. It's from 1977, I think. And it's one reason why I wanted this was, well, first of all, you don't see these maxi singles that often, these limited edition 12-inch singles. But also, I'm very fond of the original version of Sailing. We mostly think of Rod Stewart when we think about the song Sailing, but it was the Sutherland Brothers who did it in original, and I like that one, so I was happy to have it on a... I've been trying to find the LP where they had that track on, but haven't been that lucky. But now I got it on this maxi single, so to speak. Right, okay. Over to a Swedish jazz legend, Sonja Hedenbratt, a Gothenburg-based singer. One of my most popular videos of this channel is when I uploaded an old 78 RPM recording from 1956, where she's singing an amazingly great version of Cry Me a River. This is a bit later. It's her first LP from 1968, where she sings, well, it's a mixture of jazz and music hall tunes with Swedish lyrics. We got what would become her big hit, the song that we all connected to her back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. It's called Låt hjärtat vara med. It's an old American song called Heart. And then we have the Swedish versions of Down at the Old Bull and Bush and When I'm 64. So we have some Beatles connection here too. I've known about this album from 1968 for many years, but I haven't got myself a copy, and this was a very nice copy. She has a great voice, and she was very popular, not just in Gothenburg, because she was such a kind and down-to-earth artist, not a diva, as far as from a diva as you can get. And her big farewell concert on Swedish TV in 1999, I think, was a great success. The whole music industry saluted her. She passed away a couple of years later after that, so yeah, that's Sonja Hedenbratt. Okay, another voice that I love is the American Phoebe Snow. I've talked about her many times, how I first heard her in the duet with Paul Simon on Gone at Last, on the Still Crazy After All These Years album, and I tried to get an image in my head what she looked like. And then this was back in the 80s, and in the late 80s they started airing old episodes of Saturday Night Live on Swedish television, and the current artist of the time often performed with their latest singles, and Phoebe Snow appeared there, and wow, is that what she looks like? Then I tried to find her records, and that was very difficult back in the late 80s and early 90s, especially when the vinyl records were more or less taken away. I found her album Something Real from '89, some in the, I think, early to mid 90s. Then it took several years for me to find her other albums, and then I think I've got all of them apart from one. It's one called Against the Grain. But now I got that as well, and it's great. Such a great singer, and such a great production by Barry Beckett and Phil Ramone. It has a perfect 1970s on Columbia or CBS sound, as you can imagine. All right, another record in the series, the Peel Sessions, the Screaming Blue Messiahs. I always find these Peel Session albums interesting, or albums. I mean, it's more like. I mean, we have a couple of. It's not. I mean, the playing length of these are quite limited. I mean, it's about 2 or 3 or 4 songs on them. So, but still, I think they are very interesting. But I'm not willing to pay that much for them but still, there are collectors who are really into these, and I don't know that much about the Screaming Blue Messiahs, but it was nice to listen to. I liked it. All right, over to another album that I've been wanting to get for many years. It's the last album of the sensational Alex Harvey band, Rock Drill. And this is the edition that I wanted. This is the Norwegian pressing. And one reason is because it contains the final song, No Complaints Department, that I heard on YouTube for a couple of years ago, and I thought, wow, this is so great. And it's such an emotional song, and Alex Harvey thought, well, this was probably a bit too emotional. He sang about his brother being killed on stage and so on. So he decided to remove it from the album. Because he didn't want to upset his parents. What a nice guy, But I think it's the best song of Alex Harvey ever, and I've been wanting a copy where that actual song was included. So now I got it. It's on this one. It needed a good cleaning, but never mind. That's no problem. Good old Alex Harvey. No Complaints Department from Rock Drill. Okay, let's move on. Well, this is Swedish prog reggae classic, Peps Blodsband, hög standard. If you think that you recognize the album sleeve design, it is a parody of ABBA's second album, ABBA. You may see that. That's Peps there. That's Bryn Settles, Bosse Skoglund, and is that Rolf Alm? I think so. Yeah. A mixture between blues and reggae and progressive rock from the Skåne legend Peps Persson. Right, another legend, the Swedish Dutch singer and songwriter Cornelius Sveriges made loads of albums, and I finally found a Norwegian copy of his one of the records that many hold highest as one of his best later albums, Jazz Incorporated. It was issued in 1979 on Sarepta, the Norwegian label, and reissued the year later with another sleeve on the Four Leaf Clover label. And that one I already had, and that's a bit more common to get. But this Norwegian one is quite scarce, quite rare. And I got it for, in my book, very low price. The seller thought, oh, I thought that was quite expensive to actually charge that much for that album. So that seller didn't really know the value of the collector's value of Cornelius Vreeswijk albums. So great. I have all Cornelius Swedish issues now and Norwegian issues. But there are some Dutch ones that I haven't got yet. Okay, let's move on. Another maxi single of old materials, The Small Faces, Archive 4, limited edition 5000, Ichiku Park, Lazy Sunday, Shalalalali, Here Comes the Night. This is, of course, tracks from the 60s, but it is a EP, maxi EP, or what do you call it, 45 12-inch single from 1986. So it looks very much like an 80s production, and it is. And I thought, well, what the heck, it's a fun issue. And finally, an album that I had for many years that I got rid of because I couldn't stand it. But then I realized, no, I actually want it and I like it, so I got it again. And it's a Swedish singer-songwriter, Robert Karl-Oskar Broberg. And it's album Jag letar efter mig själv from 1972. An album where he more or less records everything by himself on a probably 4-track tape recorder, and it is a really existential. It's so existential that it's a bit difficult to actually. It's a bit too existential, if that makes sense. But it's also one of his most interesting albums, even if it's not one of his best ones. But this is a man in crisis who made a record about what it was like. Why do we exist? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? Why, and so on. Yeah. Okay. I managed to keep it under 20 minutes. Well done. I'm bad at that usually. So, this upcoming Saturday, it's Record Fair in Solna. I hope to go there. I've missed 2 record fairs in Solna. I haven't been to any since the autumn of 2018, so I hope everything goes well and that I can join, because I look forward to that. I haven't been to any for a long time. And maybe we'll have a bit of a video about it later. But for now, toodaloo.